Hi there, I'm here to share with you the difference between a contractor and an employee and why it's important. Determining the difference between the two and also the consequences of getting it wrong, which can be pretty hefty just from experience. So to start, a contractor is someone who, one, they set their own hours, they purchase their own supplies and materials, they determine the contract. Usually there's a start and an end date. It's not for an indefinite period of time. Contractors typically either have their own business name or they just operate and have many different customers rather than work for just one person. Employees, on the other hand, typically are told what hours to work, from what time to what time, what days to work. If they purchase supplies or any other products for the workplace, they are reimbursed typically. They are also trained and taught how to do the job a lot of times, and there's a lot of continuous training versus where a contractor will get their own education, purchase their own education, or already have the experience from prior jobs and prior history. So that's basically, in a nutshell, the difference between a contractor and an employee. So just to keep it very short. From that, you have the what if you get it wrong? Because a lot of people don't want to pay the contract or the employment fees, right? You don't want to pay employment taxes and benefits if necessary. There's insurance involved. Generally, if you're a small business owner, you do not have to provide benefits. The only thing you would have to do is pay a small fee for unemployment insurance. There's workers' comp insurance. Those are both very small fees. And then you would pay half of the self-employment taxes, which is around 7.5%, a little bit more. So it's not too bad if you were to actually have an employee and classify someone as an employee. But again, a lot of people choose to qualify or classify people as, instead of employees, contractors, because there is some flexibility maybe where the employee or contractor can write off their own expenses, treat it as a business potentially. And it may or may not be. Like, there are instances where someone who does work just for someone else or with someone else is actually a contractor. So that is possible. But these are some general rules of thumb. The main thing that I've seen where this catches people up, and I actually have had it in my own circumstance, is that it's the unemployment insurance, which is very, very minimal fee. But if they audit, which they seem to do kind of frequently, even if you don't have an employee, they might reach out, or it's possible someone's applied for unemployment insurance and now they're investigating and looking at previous employers, and they will determine whether or not the person was actually an employee or contractor based on a series of questions that they ask. In my situation, they decided that what I determined to be a contractor was actually an employee, and as a result, I owed $220 of back insurance for the unemployment insurance. The problem was a little bigger than that. That seems like nothing, right? I was like, oh, great, that's no big deal. And then I got hit with a $10,000 fine for misclassifying the contractor and employee. So just word of caution, when you're determining whether you have a contractor or employee, consider this. Do they determine their own hours, or do you determine their hours? Do you determine how they do the work, or do they determine how they perform the work? Do they purchase their own materials or products or supplies, or do you provide those or reimburse them for those items? So it can be a little confusing, a little tricky, and I know there's some pros and cons to both, but just some words of caution. Anyway, I hope you guys learned a little bit from this, and I hope you have an awesome day. Take care.